Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And yesterday we got the content preview showing us that we were getting a new Raphael cosplaying as Frieren. And earlier this morning we got the skill preview for said Raphael cosplaying as Frieren. And it's a bit interesting, I guess. So let's just go ahead and take a look at it. So here's the English, and then here is the JP. We have both because there is a typo on the English version. So let me open that up. So this Raphael is space. So our second space Raphael in almost as many months. Interesting, I guess. Sure, whatever. EX Unbound, as expected. Charge type, first skill is unknown, but we actually do know a bit about it. And then the second skill, 25 points. Transfers another random character's soul cards times 3 to self. So this Raphael is a triple orb stealer, which is a bit finicky, odd, interesting on a stacking team. Normally they're reserved for burst teams. We had Summer Hinata, we had Bride Shuna, the Wind Masked Hero. All three of them came on burst metas. So a stacking one for a triple orb steal is a bit odd. And then the second part of the skill is orange protection gauge increased by 50%, which this team, it did need that. Some people were using the Wielder of Magic Shinsha. She was doing 60% for 2 turns. This Raphael does it for 1 turn, unfortunately, and it's not as good, like 50 versus 60, yeah. But a triple orb steal on a support alt character, which I think tells me that Fern is going to be a DPS character. And this is because normally we would have 2 other characters doing weakness support alts, and you get weakness strike from that. But since we're getting an orb stealer, one, this will help us get Frieren's EX ult very quickly, and then Fern's EX ult very quickly, and then probably the entire rest of the fight you're going to want to use this skill for the protection gauge, which means you're going to have 6 orbs of this Raphael every single turn, and that'll be 50% extra weakness strike for both Fern and Frieren, and it'll take the place of having 2 separate weakness strike alts. That's my thinking. Whether that actually comes true or not, I don't know. Fern could very well be a support alt as well for Frieren. There's always that chance. But I think they're going to make up for not having 2 support alts by just having us send 1 support alt every single turn for this Raphael. But triple orb steal is good, and Shuna and Hinata and the Masked Hero definitely have use on almost pretty much any team that you need or want to bring a triple orb stealer if you want to eliminate a lot of RNG. So it's not a bad skill. The orange protection gauge is definitely necessary for this team, but I don't know if it's really worth it to summon just because of that. Like, especially if you already have a triple orb stealer, like, you don't really need this. And if you're not trying to, sweat whale your way into Jubilee, trying to get as much max weakness strike as you can, like, I'd probably just bring a different support character and have Frieren do more damage. But, we'll have to see what Raphael does in practice. The support alt unleashes an AoE space magic for 150. It is a support alt. Increases weakness strike for not festive memories. So that's the typo. The JP version, when you translate it, it's adventurer right here in the brackets. So good job, Global Intern, for messing that up. She is not on the Festive Memories team, so it would not make sense if this was actually true. So weakness strike of adventurer allies, including rearguard by end of battle, by 60%. This is, of course, if you have a 120 Raphael that's fully, rocked out and everything. Otherwise, it's going to be 25% for most people. And then if you get the EX ult, it'll be double. So at max, it'll be 120% weakness, and at minimum, it'll be 50%. So quite a large difference right there. But yeah, So that's the second skill, but we do have a preview for what the first skill is. So if we look at this and translate it, magical world of another world, good job. Convert other characters' orbs into your own orbs and fill up your gauge, so that's the triple orb steal. Furthermore, it is a versatile supporter that has the ability to increase attack power and decrease weakness resistance. So if we check this out and we watch the gameplay as I mute this. So we have the skill, and then there's the orb steal, and wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, so it stole 2 Frieren and a Stark, so we've got a 5 send right here, but we also have a defense down debuff, which I'm assuming is coming from Raphael's trait, which if that's true, that's a really bad trait. Defense down is probably the weakest debuff in the world, but then based on this wording, increase attack power and decrease magic resistance. So we can't see what the skills are because it doesn't, they never click on the skill button, but extra attack and weakness resistance down, like we are already getting attack from Frieren's Magic Unleashed state. That's 100%. It does work with other skills that give attack. Okay, that's cool. But for now, if you have him, you're probably bringing Ogre's Pride Soe, of which case he's also giving a 70% attack buff and 100% synergy power if you max his skill out. So you're going to have 100% from Frieren, 70% from Soe, and this is a temporary buff, and I'm assuming that this new Raphael also has a temporary attack buff. And it doesn't say magic attack, it just says attack. So, I assume it's going to be a lot higher than 70%, because weakness resistance down is just the opposite of weakness strike, and weakness strike and weakness resistance down are very, not super strong buffs, but they're not overly powerful. They definitely increase your damage, let's not get that confused, but it is one on the weaker side versus like Pierce and Crit and Synergy and Alt and all that stuff. So an attack buff and weakness resistance debuff for the second skill, probably a 90-point skill that goes right here, probably going to be, I'd say like 100 to 120% attack and then 100% weakness resistance down. Maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe it's like 70-70 or 170, since they like to do the 170 kind of total numbers across a number of different characters. That's probably more realistic, but it'll be whatever attack will go on top of Frieren's attack buff, and then the weakness resistance will just be there, I guess. And then you'll get extra weakness strike from the Raphael alt. So, it's going to be more support for Frieren, and then if you're triple orb stealing the entire time, you're going to have a lot of these Raphael alts to send, which means a lot of stacked weakness strike. And I see what they're going for, but, I don't know if it's really worth it to summon. This is a collab character, even though it's Raphael, she's dressed up as Frieren. This character will not return. Will not return on a future banner. She is a collab character, and she will be gone. Just like how Shizu, dressed up as Albedo, never coming back. Ainz, or Reamer dressed up as Ainz. They're slime characters, but they're cosplaying in their, like, copyrighted outfits, right? They're not coming back. So this is your only chance to pull this Raphael. And if this skill interests you, don't forget that we're going to get a free dupe of this Raphael as well from a bingo mission. So if you do pull Raphael, you can get her to 104 and you can get that defense down trait, assuming that it's actually coming from the trait. So here's the memory stone right here. But for people who don't really care and are waiting for Fern, like, I would just continue to wait for Fern. Like, I've got a good team that does a lot of damage. I don't know if this Raphael is actually going to increase that or not. We'll have to test him out when he does drop in 9 hours from now. But right now, I don't really see myself telling people that this Raphael is a must summon. An attack buff and a weakness resistance down debuff is very generic. A triple orb steal is very good. Orange protection gauge is only good on orange teams, but you could find a use for it. But mostly you're going to use them for the triple orb steal. No, like, all gauge increase, though. Right? So the hero... what does the Master Hero do? She raises her own attack, I believe, on orbs. No, so protection gauge by 20% on greens. What does Shuna do? She damage by 10%, and then Hinata, Summer Hinata are triple orb stealing characters, and then she gives protection gauge for blues. So none of them have an all gauge increase, actually, so it's not really a huge loss. They're all kind of rather specific for their own teams, so I guess that's fine. Protection gauge, fine. At this rate, we're probably going to get another orange team in like 4 or 5 months or so. So, I mean, this could be useful in the future. So I can't say that the kit is bad, especially without seeing the percentage costs and everything of the first skill. But it is also, I'd say, rather boring, easily replaceable. Because we have 3 different characters at triple orb steal. Protection gauge increase, like, you can get by without it on this team if you're running, a setup or 2. Attack buff is generic, but there are a lot of characters that give attack. Weakness resistance down, as I've said, is not the strongest thing in the world, but it can be helpful for your nuking character. So, I mean, there is value in the kit. It's just, I don't know if there's enough value to warrant summoning for this Raphael, unless you really, really want all the collab characters, in case you really, really like Frieren outfit on Raphael. Like, these are things that you're going to have to decide on your own. But Fern will come out probably next Thursday or Friday, somewhere in this time frame, and she will most likely be the only and last character for the collab, and I know a lot of people want Fern. So I'd say hold off on this Raphael, and don't go too ham, especially, wait until I've got her and I've used her and, I've tested out how useful the kit is. But for 90% of people, you should probably continue summoning to get Frieren and Himmel if you do not already have them, and then just chill. Just chill and wait for Fern for another week. We've got the raid event coming tonight. We've got part 2 of the story event coming. Bingo missions. Like, there'll be stuff to do for the next week. And then when Fern comes out, maybe you can go ham on that. But, let me know what you guys think of this Raphael kit. I'm sure some people will be disappointed in this. Again, we'll have to wait and see how much extra weakness strike we can actually get off of sending a butt ton of these ults. But for now, I think she's fairly skippable. But let me know what you think in the comments below. That's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys in 9 hours for the summons.